Let's start with Square Up the Vote 2026, with our focus on primary elections and the continued debate around political boundaries. Ohio and Indiana voters head to the polls today, seeking a fifth term in the Hoosier State's District 4, as U.S. Representative Jim Baird facing off against Indiana State Representative Craig Haggard. A slew of Democrats also competing for the party's nomination in the historically Republican-held district. U.S. Representative Victoria Spatz is facing off against fellow Republican Scott King in District 5. Indiana's 7th congressional district, which includes all of Indianapolis and surrounding areas, will see fierce competition from the Democratic nomination. Incumbent U.S. Representative Andre Carson faces a tough primary challenge from 3 Democrats to secure the party's nomination for that November general election. In Ohio, voters are also at the polls. U.S. Senator John Husted is looking to win an election to Congress after being appointed to fill Vice President J.D. Vance's open Senate seat in that state. Husted faces no challengers in Tuesday's Republican primary, but there are a slew of Democrats vying for the nomination to face off against him in the November election. In another statewide race in Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine is term limited and can't run for re-election. Vivek Ramaswamy and Casey Pooch are vying for the Republicans. A slew of Democrats also vying for that party's nomination for Ohio governor. Now, Ohio voters head to the polls today after the state legislature conducted a mid-decade redistricting effort to yield greater representation for Republicans in Congress. And with primary elections today, the real outcome of whether new maps help or hurt the GOP in Ohio won't be clear until November. Now, Indiana and Ohio start off with a busy month of May for primary season. Here's just some of the upcoming primary elections. After today, next week, Nebraska and West Virginia will head to the polls. May 16th, Louisiana heads to the polls, but that's just for the U.S. Senate and local races. May 19th, it's full. Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. And then June 2nd, kicking off a busy June for primaries, California, Iowa, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Now, again, note that Louisiana has a primary May 16th, but again, that's just for the U.S. Senate and local races in Louisiana. They hold their primary for U.S. House seats July 15th. The Center Square Louisiana reporter Nolan McKendry reports after the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday night put into effect its ruling striking down the state's current map, Louisiana lawmakers can immediately begin drawing a new congressional map. The move comes less than a week after the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in a case that the Louisiana 2024 congressional map was unconstitutionally racially gerrymandered. The decision had immediate practical effects in Louisiana. Governor Jeff Landry has already suspended Louisiana's May 16th closed congressional primaries for those U.S. House seats, arguing the states can't hold elections under a map that the court has deemed unconstitutional. Now, Louisiana's Black Caucus members and Democratic lawmakers were critical of the delay. 2 other southern states are holding special legislative sessions this week after that U.S. Supreme Court decision on that Louisiana redistricting case. As the Center Square regional editor Kim Jarrett reports, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, they called for the sessions 2 days after the Supreme Court ruled on Louisiana's case. In Tennessee, State Representative Jody Barrett, a Republican from Dixon, he spoke to the Center Square this morning and he said, "This is not about diluting the black vote."
I think that's an argument that is trying to chase rabbits. It's a red herring. This is strictly an opportunity for the Republican Party, I think, to pick up another seat. I don't think there's any way of sugarcoating that. This is strictly political, to redraw the lines to make sure that there's an additional Republican seat in Congress. That's it. It has nothing to do with race. It has only the only thing it has to do with is politics and party alignment.
Elsewhere in Florida, second-term Republican Governor Ron DeSantis Monday signing his redrawn congressional map into law for that state. The Center Square managing editor Alan Wooten reports Florida's representation is 20 Republicans, 7 Democrats, and 1 vacancy from a recent resignation. The new congressional map in Florida forecast to bring an end for Democrats U.S. Representatives Kathy Castor in the Tampa area and Maxwell Frost in Central Florida. The Florida legislature gave passage to the new map last week. And new maps are also in play in the 2026 elections in California, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, and Texas. Litigations also led to changes in Utah. Virginia, Georgia, and New York also remain in litigation. But back to today's elections. In addition to statewide offices and congressional and state legislative seats, Ohio voters today will decide on many local issues, including tax proposals. The Center Square contributor David Beasley reports in Hancock County, residents of townships are voting on new taxes or to renew existing taxes or to issue bonds for projects ranging from libraries to improving fire protection. In Union Township, voters will decide on a $1 million bond issue for the purpose of constructing, furnishing, and equipping a new township garage and clearing, improving, and equipping that site. Now, residents in Waynesfield Goshen local school districts will vote on whether to renew an income tax that expires at the end of the year for that jurisdiction. Now, these are ballot questions that will impact all taxpayers in those jurisdictions, but it's being decided by primary voters, which is typically a lower voter turnout election. For example, in Ohio's 2022 primary election, there was just 18% voter turnout. That's fewer than 1 out of every 5 registered voters. For the general midterm in November 2022, voter turnout was 46%, so almost half and half. But be sure to get a recap to today's elections with the Center Square regional editor J.D. Davidson tomorrow, only here with the Center Square Daily.